Okay, so what an unbelievable opportunity to get to perform at the halftime of the Super Bowl and kind of walk us through the journey of how we got there.
So I got a phone call early December, and I honestly thought it was a joke. Somebody saying they were with Justin Timberlake's Super Bowl 52 halftime performance, and that they had been researching Minnesota dance teams on YouTube and had planned on coming to a competition to do some further scouting, and they had figured out that we were one of the top and wanted to know if we were interested in helping them out with the show. And I would have loved to said yes right away, but there was a lot of red tape that we had to get through first, and so luckily I let it go to voicemail because I don't think I would have even known what to say to her. I wouldn't have believed her. So I called Ricardo, and he talked to Dr. Becker, and we kind of got it rolling and figured out how logistically we were going to make this happen for these kids, which meant missing school time, missing out on normal practice time to prepare for sections, lots of transportation, logistics, getting downtown, getting to the different facilities. We practiced at the U of M, we practiced at the Coliseum for the State Fair, and then we did 5 days at US Bank. So, and those 5 days were with JT the whole time, which was unbelievable for these kids, and they were so classy, and every single one of them maintained composure. There was no squealy little girl stuff. They were awesome, so professional. It was great.
So that's the roadmap of how we get there. When you tell the kids that you have it logistically all figured out, their response is what?
We actually had 2 cry because they were so excited. We had some very sad kids who were not over 16. That was the rule. You had to be over 16 in order to participate. Rehearsals sometimes went past 10 o'clock, over 8 hours. I think it had to do with child labor laws kind of thing, so we couldn't fight, we couldn't take on the NFL to get them in. That wasn't going to happen. So we had some sad kids. Most of them were just in shock. They were thrilled, and we told them that it was going to involve a lot of extra work on their part in order to be prepared for sections. It could potentially take away our trip to state if we didn't prepare properly, and they were willing to go the extra mile, and they made it all happen.
It takes a lot to bring down a Minnesota Vikings player, but when an injury occurs, a Twin Cities orthopedics physician is on the field and ready to assess the situation. TCO is the official sports medicine provider of the Minnesota Vikings and proud to be a part of the new home of the Minnesota Vikings in Eagan. Best yet, the community can see the same great doctors at one of our 40 clinic locations across the metro. Visit tcomn.com to learn more. tcomn.com.
So you're going through all this practice, early morning practice, then it's late at night practice. I mean, there's just a lot that are put on these kids' shoulders, and your guys' too, from a coaching perspective.
Yep, it was a lot for them, and for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they had to come in full hair, makeup, wardrobe done. So that adds a whole nother dimension that most people don't think about. You can't just roll out of bed and show up for a rehearsal with JT. Right. They frown on that. So that added a whole nother thing. These kids have homework that they should be doing that, there just really wasn't time. There were not enough hours in the day, but they found a way to make it all happen, and it was a lot of pressure on them for sure, on us to try and keep them motivated and keep them going. And for coaches it was time off of work and early mornings coming in here before work and all kinds of stuff, but it is such a once in a lifetime thing that we knew we had to make it happen for them.
There was a secretive part to the whole process that you guys couldn't say a word to anybody, which is why yesterday, when word starts to get out that all these teams from across the state got a chance to do it, nobody knew anything about it before.
Nope, nobody knew anything. That was one of the first things we were told about when I finally connected with the casting director via telephone, is that all of this was strictly confidential. We had to sign a confidentiality agreement with the consequence being removal from the show. Sure. If something was posted on social media, or it got out to too many people, or if there was a press leak or anything like that. None of the kids had phones with them at any of the rehearsals. Coaches had phones for emergencies only. So if you notice, most of the pictures and videos that are out now are only from yesterday.
Right.
There really isn't anything documented from rehearsals because none of it was recorded. And even practice locations, nothing was disclosed until right at the time that it needed to be. Times changed on occasion based on his schedule, I'm sure, and we just had to roll with it. And the hardest part was making sure none of it got out, and we had kids not participating who were too young. They also had to change their schedules and keep everything quiet. And I mean, people didn't tell grandma and grandpa until
Right.
Sunday morning, and it was an entire, metro area of dancers that took it to heart, and they could only talk to each other about it.
And then part B of the whole conversation, I know how great your program is. It's phenomenal. You made another run. You're heading back to state too. You know, sections went really well.
We did. Sections went really well. We did qualify in jazz. We missed qualifying in kick by one place, which seems to be our curse the last 2 years. We have a very tough section. We have 6 of the top 10 teams in our section. 6 of the top 10 teams in the state. Only 3 can advance. So every year there are 3 very, very deserving teams. And I know this happens in every sport.
Right.
It gets old. There's 3 very deserving teams that place very high at every invitational all year long, and then it comes to the final thing and they're out. And it's hard, and we knew that with this schedule change, we were really running a risk. But we felt they were strong enough and we could roll the dice, and thank goodness they stepped up to the challenge and they did exactly what they were supposed to do.
It's gotta make you feel great as a coach. Just the focus is crazy, because I think what gets lost in all of it is the amount of time that the whole Super Bowl thing took. And then you still have to focus on which is a big job in itself.
Right. I mean, we normally practice 2 to 2.5 hours every day, and that just wasn't possible last week leading up to the biggest competition of our season. I mean, sections to me is really a bigger competition than state,
Right.
because you don't go any further once.
Right.
State, it's like the icing on the cake. We're thrilled to be there. Anything that happens after that point is great. Sections is do or die. And there was not enough time to put a 2.5 hour practice in ever all week. I mean, we had about, the max we ever had going in was about an hour and 45 minutes. And we knew that was what we had to work with. And, we were dealing with really early mornings and kids coming in off of no sleep. We'd get home about 10:30, 10:45 at night and turn around and we'd be back here by 7:20. It's a lot on their body and their mind. I mean, it's just a lot. Luckily, the practices at the bank with JT, it wasn't super physically demanding. There was a lot of hurry up and wait. It's a lot of staging. The amount of preparation that goes into this, it's like a military operation. Like, these people that run this show, I cannot say enough about them. I think coaching is hard. Forget it. That was hard. And they had it all down to a science, and they really worked with us, so it wasn't super physically taxing, but you're still up late. You're still in a different place. You're still having to, be on your A game.
Yeah.
So it's still a challenge.
Any stories that you can share that maybe the kids had from an experience perspective? Any kind of fun?
We did have one that actually kind of walked into JT at one point and said, "Excuse me," and he said, "No worries." They thought that was pretty fabulous. We also had a J-Lo spotting.
Uh-oh.
She walked right by us. She was in with A-Rod. They were together, walked right by, could have reached out and said hello. That was pretty cool. I think for the kids, watching his backup dancers do what they do so well and watching them take direction from him and work together, I think that was probably something that they really learned from and thought, oh my gosh, look at what they can do. If they can do what they're doing, we can do this little part and we can go to practice in the morning and, look what became of them. So that was cool. Justin's staff bought all the dancers hot chocolate one night. He set up a s'more bar for them one night. So all of that was really cool. They fed us dinner and lunch every night we needed it. They really didn't leave anything to chance. They rolled out the red carpet just like as if these kids were professionals, and that's how they treated them. And in turn, that's how the kids treated the performance. They made it, a very professional operation because they were being taught along the way how to do that. It was awesome.